We can now bring in Rocco Blume, Head of Policy and Advocacy at War Child UK. Good evening. Thank you very much for joining us on the program today. Talk us through the work War Child UK is doing on the ground in Gaza.
Thank you for having me. Unfortunately, War Child is able to do very little in the current situation because there is no humanitarian access. We don't have safety. There's still a bombing campaign taking place over the whole of the Gaza Strip. As the UN spokesman said, there is no safe place in Gaza. So we have been able to work with some of our national partners to deliver some meager aid. So we've been able to purchase mattresses, soap, some winter clothing for children, and to distribute that. But we haven't been able to do our normal programming of providing education, healthcare, and so forth.
And what are your national partners telling you they need, specifically when it comes to children? Because, of course, thousands, tens of thousands have been displaced from the north to the south, children among them.
The impact on children has been dire, as we know. Over 4,500 children have been killed in the conflict so far. Thousands of children have been injured from collapsed buildings, from explosive violence. These are injuries that will last a lifetime. And War Child provides mental health and psychosocial support to children with our partners. And we know that the mental health impact of experiencing starvation, dehydration, seeing your family members killed will last a lifetime. And that's what our partners are seeing, and they're reporting back to us.
I think something shocking that Philippe Lazarani said last week when during that aid conference organized here in Paris was that at schools, at UNRWA-run schools, used to have children learning and laughing, and now they're begging for a sip of water. You mentioned mattresses, but clearly there's a need for everything, from water to food to proper sanitation facilities.
Absolutely. And the World Food Programme has made a very important statement today. And they've stated that the entire population of Gaza is in need. Only 7% of people's nutritional needs are being met. Local markets are shut down. There is no food, clean water, fuel. And the UN and aid agencies have been warning of this for weeks. They've been warning this moment was approaching, and now it's arrived.
Rocco, since that aid conference last week, we've had the French President Emmanuel Macron, who issued a call for a ceasefire. This 34 days after the October 7th attacks. Are you surprised that since this past weekend, when he called for ceasefire, we've had no major European country come out and say enough is enough?
It's been very disappointing. President Macron's call for a ceasefire was so important because he demonstrated leadership, and it demonstrated that a call for a ceasefire is viable, it's justifiable, and a good friend, a good ally, tells you the things you don't want to hear. And that's what we need the allies of Israel to be saying. They need to be saying that a ceasefire is needed immediately, and there is no other solution.
You spoke about the dire needs as they stand, as things currently stand, but the displaced residents from the north who've now reached the south, areas of Khan Yunis, for instance, have been dropped leaflets that they need to evacuate. They're unsure where they can evacuate to. What is the risk now that Israel could potentially shift south in its operation to oust Hamas? What is going to happen to the civilian population?
It's terrifying to consider what people are going through, and we can only imagine the fear that people are feeling in Gaza. As the UN spokesman said, there is no safe place in Gaza. I think were his exact words. So we can expect more of the same. I mean, it's a terrible situation we've been seeing, and there doesn't seem to be any solution being offered by the powerful states and the allies of Israel to change the situation right now. So we are saying, as a humanitarian agency, along with our partners and peers, that a ceasefire is needed immediately.
Of course, the situation in Gaza is horrendous, but we've also seen the West Bank deteriorate over the past month. We've had near nightly raids. We have Palestinians being killed there, army raids, clashes with settlers, what have you. What are you hearing from your partners there?
War Child has offices in Ramallah, East Jerusalem, and other locations in the West Bank. And it's very difficult for them to operate at the moment. There have been shutdowns of cities. There's very limited movement between cities. But we're hearing the same as they are, that dozens of people have been killed. Around 50 children have been killed in clashes with Israeli military and settlers since the 7th of October. And this is an escalation that is really dramatic. It's because of the severity of what's happening in Gaza that less attention is being paid to the West Bank. But what's happening in the West Bank is really dramatic, and it has the potential to get far worse.
Rocco Blume, we're going to have to leave it there. Thank you very much for joining us on the program tonight.
Thank you.